Greetings, Andover. I am coming to you with another version of From the Cubby. As you know, we plan to offer a series of weekly video messages as we continue to navigate this unprecedented public health crisis. I hope that these messages help to connect and inspire the campus and the extended Andover community. From the Cubby comprises two parts. First will be highlights of Andover students, faculty, staff, and alumni who are finding ways to exhibit their non-sibi spirit in their communities. Second, I will invite campus guests to join me for a conversation. This week, we are pleased to welcome Monique Cueto-Potts from Community Engagement, LaShawn Springer from the Community and Multicultural Development Office, CAMD, and Flavia Vidal from the Brace Center for Gender Studies. Now for this week's virtual highlights. Our first highlight goes out to our 16th head of school, Dr. Raynard Kington, who will be joining us this summer, who wrote in an email communication earlier, quote, "As terrifying as this crisis is, this is a moment when the manner in which our entire community responds will matter for a long time. There are not many moments like this in life. Andover has been fortunate to know a few challenging moments in history, and I have been so proud of the way the Big Blue responds with courage and a standard of excellence in times of challenge." For my next highlight, I have no idea whether this is appropriate, but our dog Rosie has been trying to join me for a live moment, and unfortunately, she's now out for a walk. At Andover, we love our pets. Like humans, our pets are a little out of sorts these days. Missing students, missing leftovers from Peresky, but thankful for time with family. And now they are on display in our faculty staff newsletter we call the Gazette. Among the photos of Dobermans, pugs, and tabby cats, we met Steph Cormier's Hampshire pig, Buster. Please keep those photos coming, and thank you, Rosie. I hope you're going to get a treat after your walk. My next highlight goes out to Megan and Sal, next year's co-presidents. Congratulations. We look forward to your leadership and compassion as you represent your peers in the student body. We saw an extremely strong field of candidates this year. Congratulations to all, and especially to Jack and Summer. You ran an incredibly thoughtful campaign and brought out the best in one another. Well done, everyone. And to the current year's co-presidents, Shahinda and Sebastian, Kate Dolan thanked you this week for leading with kindness, optimism, and that indomitable Big Blue spirit. On behalf of Phillips Academy, please accept our gratitude as well. My next highlight exudes joy of the musical kind. Holly Barnes and her Music 500 class recently produced a virtual rendering of Andante for Strings by John Casavas. This magnificent performance on YouTube showcases the talents of Luke, Ellie, Yasmin, Audrey, and Kathy in their cubbies playing music. And now to the new Blue Key heads, whose IGTV video quickly amassed more than 6,000 views. Eric, Joanna, Cam, Kyle, Martina, Matt, Molly, Ross, Sophia, and Violet. We are the Big Blue. Go Big Blue. Let us know if you are making music, theater, or art in every quarter or in every cubby. Watch the credits for Heart of View, Andante for Strings, and be in touch to share your news. Andover continues to raise the bar by making the most of these extraordinary times. This week, we spotted siblings Theo and Ivy supporting a local hospital through Students Against COVID food pantry. Donations allow employees to enjoy free, healthy snacks on the go. Handwritten notes from members of the community also provide comfort and encouragement to those employees. I know the list could grow infinitely, and I run the risk always of leaving someone out. I'm sorry about that. So please tell us who deserves to be recognized for their non-sibi spirit, keeping us hopeful and connected. It is important also to recognize that our faculty and staff continue to step up every day, even as they manage their own challenges, teaching, working, and meeting online, supporting students, homeschooling their own children, while caring for family members near and far. For their extraordinary optimism and their dedication and determination and their support, I am deeply grateful. Thank you. For all alumni, this is for you too. I've heard from many of you, and I've seen your commendable work to battle the pandemic documented in social media. Please be in touch with Jenny Savino to share news about your fellow alumni, and we will do our best to include it here. For now, I will break for a moment as I prepare to welcome Monique Cueto-Potts, LaShawn Springer, and Flavia Vidal for part 2 of this episode. This short video introduction will give you a sense of the incredible work they do with our students. We'll be right back. Thank you.
With that being said, I just feel like happy in that regard, kind of nurturing the next generation of leaders and activists and innovators and people who really want to make this society more inclusive.
No matter what program I go to, there is joy.
One of the things that attracted me to Andover was how they have over 10 programs, and it's from working with kids to working with adults or elderly people.
Whenever I've had a tough math class or whenever I've got a bunch of work to do, I can always rely on coming here.
It's hard not to laugh and smile.
If you're someone that's never had a conversation about diversity or social justice or identity, there's a way that you can access all of it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for your partnership in joining this segment of From the Cubby. Oh, it's so good to see you. We open this segment with a clip of Voices Heard, Fostering the Future. And it's an incredible example of how our students create and lead and unite for a greater good, especially during this challenging time. I wonder if you might respond to the question of why you thought this was such an important story for Andover to share with our incoming students. Monique?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. I think that it's important for our prospective students to know that just as important as the education that they're getting in the classrooms and on the fields and in the dorms are the lessons and the education that they're getting through our community engagement programs and through all that CAMD and Brace have to offer as well. It's very unique for a high school to have a community engagement office, a CAMD office, and a Brace Center for Gender Studies or Center for Gender Studies. Some colleges don't even have that, and so I think it's really important for students to realize what they will be able to access and what they will be able to do once they get to campus.
It's so true. So true. Our resources are amazing. And LaShawn, what's your feelings about why this was so important to share with our new families?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Monique has said, and we'll just say that this video brought me so much joy to be able to watch it, and I'm so glad that that was one of the threads actually that's through the video, that there's so much joy in a lot of the programming that we do. I think it's also important, we talk a lot about storytelling here on campus and in our respective offices as one of the ways in which we really build our empathy for each other, and one of the ways that we really can think about collectively, how are you understanding experiences that are outside your own and also coming to understand your own identity. And so it's great that actually a lot of the storytelling in this video is done by our young people, and they are the ones who actually lead a lot of our programming here on campus, and they hold us accountable to it, and they step up to that charge of thinking about what an equitable and inclusive campus looks like every day.
That's great. Very well said. And Flavia, you want to share a little bit about why you thought it was important to share with new families?
Yes, I mean, I absolutely agree, again, with what Monique and LaShawn have said, and I would second that. It's this idea that once students arrive on campus from the very first day, they are met with this incredible group of other students, of peers and adults who are well equipped and trained and ready and, just dying to get them involved in the work that we do. And it really happens from orientation on, and it lasts through their whole experience on campus, all the variety of programs and activities and speakers, and the way in which the work translates into the classroom and sports and dorm life. It really does a wonderful job of presenting the strengths of the community, this intentionally diverse community, in the best way possible. And I think the students did a wonderful job of presenting all of that, and smiling throughout the whole thing, which is what they do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So.
Well, speaking of the strengths of the community, the three of you are certainly part of the strength of Andover. So thank you for joining me on this From the Cubby segment. I am also very interested in each of your areas. And so I wonder if I could ask Monique to share a little bit about community engagement, which is a year-round experience for our neighborhood, and that brings joy and powerful life lessons to our students in the new format of the virtual online connections. How do we create and continue to create community and teach these same lessons when we can't be together?
Yeah. I think we can create community no matter where we are, in big ways and in small ways. And when students are involved in our programs, we talk a lot about non-sibi being a value that really guides everyday life and interactions, and is not just something that we do at a community engagement program for a few hours every week or during non-sibi weekend. It really is a way of life to think of others and not just of ourselves, and doing that is more important than ever right now. And so my hope is that students are carrying that message with them while we are apart physically and while they are in different communities around the world. I mean, I think that we create and strengthen community every time that we connect or help with a loved one or a friend, whether they're in our home or on a screen or through a text message, or standing 6 feet away from us in our yard if they've come by for a little visit. And if it's safe to do so, I think we can continue to create community by reaching out to local organizations and listening to what they may need, and making sure that we approach that work in the same way that we approach that work when we're on campus. And that's by not rushing into action and fundraising and doing before we're really listening to what a community partner actually needs. And that's a message that we're constantly reinforcing through our programming. In terms of what our office is doing, since we're not able to see our students and our community partners every day, we're checking in frequently with our community partners just to let them know that we're thinking about them, to see how they are doing. We're also connecting with students and our community engagement student coordinators as well, in ways that many offices around campus are, through social media, texts, email, Zoom. And so we're trying to remain connected in those ways too. Our community engagement coordinators are going to start planning a virtual Spread the Love Week for the end of May, so that we don't let go of that important tradition. And we also are thinking of ways that we can have seniors say goodbye to the communities that they have worked with through our partnerships over the years, to sort of honor those relationships and them ending. And so I think now more than ever, it's really important to just expand our sense of who we think is in our community, and who is in our circles of concern. And I'm seeing that happen through many of the small things and big things that students are telling us that they're doing, and through really just being blown away by the way our community partners are adapting their work to meet needs right now.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And I think when you say spread the love, you're supposed to say spread the love. Like that. You're supposed to spread the love. That's right. That's what you're supposed to do. So let's move on to LaShawn, who, by the way, LaShawn, thank you so much for your soulful writings and the speaking that you have done recently and shared with us in so many ways. Really impressive. This week, I know CAMD is launching a new idea, CAMT, hosted by Yamada Cruz and Jose Peralta. And so please give us a little sense of how the program was conceived and what you hope it will become.
I think, if you've ever been into CAMD, one of the things that I love the most is that, we have this physical space that kids can come every single day and check in with each other. And they are literally holding space for one another in terms of whatever is happening in their lives or over the course of a day. And so if you walk in, our conversations range from, the silliest of topics to some of the heavier topics that we might discuss. And certainly with what's happening with COVID-19, these are conversations I know would definitely be having on our campus and in our community, both informally in the office and also formally through other types of programming. So we're just thinking about ways that we can, as Monique said, really think about how to extend community in different ways and how to have these conversations in a virtual manner. And because we just miss our young people and we miss being in dialogue and in conversation with them, because the questions that they ask all the time, some days I'm like, I didn't even think about that. But that is a new way for us to be thinking about how to approach a topic. And so when we thought about it, CAMD came around as a way in which we could take some of those conversations that we normally all have together in our CAMD space, take it virtually. And so Shabana Cruz and Jose Peralta are our co-hosts. And their first segment, they're going to be interviewing Devin O'Reilly, who works in our office and is also one of our amazing athletic trainers, and talking about things like body positivity, talking about mental health and wellness, talking about food accessibility at this moment, all things that interweave both with, the current moment of thinking about how to be gentle to ourselves and our bodies right now, but also extends to, what Monique was just saying about what are the needs of the community. And so these are some of the conversations that we need to be having. And we're also, I'm actually collaborating with Monique and Flavia and Amy Patel on a series around, COVID-19, what pandemics lay bare. And, it's to have some of those tougher conversations about what are some of the systemic inequities that we're seeing as a result of, the global pandemic. And again, these are conversations that I know that our young people would be leading and having while they're here. So just figuring out ways to extend that to them.
I appreciate that. And I think always the CAMD programming offers a balance of friendship and companionship, but also sensitivity and educational format and planning that is extraordinary and very helpful to our students. So thank you for your collaboration. I did notice in a previous video that I saw, Devin was experimenting with the new Drake song and the new dance, and he was exhibiting some of that body positivity. It was fantastic.
While also teaching us, another way to think about washing your hands. So
yes, that's right.
And entertaining all around. Yeah, Devin.
Great. And Flavia, let's turn to you for a moment, and let me again express my gratitude to you for my inaugural enjoyment of the Brace Gender Studies Institute from a couple summers ago, where I had an amazing experience with you and your colleagues and our colleagues on campus that offered so much rich programming during that week of equity and inclusion training. So thank you for that. I noticed that you have launched a new podcast, Embrace It. What does the Brace Board have in store for this format and topics and guests? It would be great to hear more about that.
Yeah, so like with so many of the Brace Center's initiatives, I actually take no credit whatsoever for the Embrace It podcast. This was, as again, so many of our programs, a student-led initiative. We were on a brainstorming session a couple of weeks ago about how we can continue to be present and available to the community during this moment. And they were brainstorming, and they came up with this idea as one of the many ways in which they still want to be there for their peers, for our adult community, both on campus and off campus, and help, as Monique and LaShawn have said, really continue this message of positivity during this really difficult moment. So this is an idea that they had, these podcasts. They hope to interview a variety of different people, students, faculty, staff, alums, and the topics are really varied. They are related to gender, of course, because that's what we do on a daily basis, but it's really driven by different people's experiences and ideas and desire to talk about how gender has played out in their lives and experiences at Andover, but also as we are now, not having the community that we usually have during a regular spring term, how gender is playing out. And if people are interested, have ideas, I would encourage them to reach out to the students who are in charge of this project, Ben Carbo, Naya Harris, Cameron Kang, and Emma Slyback. And they can give them much more information and put them on the schedule. I know one of the upcoming episodes is going to focus on the Abbott cookbook. People are trying out some of these amazing recipes at home. And we also have a couple of wonderful students, Inez Durant and Sophia Lee, who are not on the Brace board, but who have just started an Abbott Legacy Club. So they're going to be involved in that podcast
Lots
as well.
to share, Flavia, as always. We're so lucky to have the three of you on our faculty and as resources for our students. And I hope in the same way I have learned so much from all of you, you may share right now and end by just potentially telling us what your hopes for all Andover students might be as they navigate this momentous time in their lives. Monique?
Yeah, I hope that they are finding time to take care of themselves in addition to taking care of others. But given how stressful life normally is, I mean, to have a global pandemic that you're trying to live through adds a certain amount of stress and anxiety that we may not even always be aware that we're carrying. And so my hope for our students, and my message to our students, would be that they make sure that they are taking care of themselves and taking care of others to the best that they can on every day that comes up. And what you might be able to do on one day may be different than what you may be able to do on the next day, but that is always in the forefront of their minds, just to pause and to breathe and to really take care of themselves and others.
Thank you. And LaShawn, what would you like to share in the hopes for Andover students?
Yeah, all the good things that Monique said, and also that they are finding joy for themselves in, everyday moments. And also that they are gentle with themselves, which is, a reminder that I've had to give myself. When we first started remote learning, there was so much conversation around productivity and what that means to work from home. And I sort of had to remind myself that, it's okay to slow down for a second. It's okay to be gentle with myself and really listen to what the need is. And that, day to day, that may look a little bit different in terms of what that means, but the gentleness needs to be there for oneself.
Thank you. And Flavia, what would you like to share?
I would want them, together with, again, what Monique and LaShawn have already said, I would want them to think about embracing their campus community still. Even though we are far away, we are here for them. And if they need us, not to think about the fact that they don't have to navigate this alone. We're here for them. Reach out to me, reach out to, an adult or student member of the Brace board, to CAMD, to community engagement, the adults on campus in general. We're here and we're, available to help. So nobody's really alone through this.
Thank you. That's so powerful and so helpful. I'm sure it resonates with our students. Remember, From the Cubby is about spreading hope and inspiration with messages that help to connect the campus and the extended Andover community, but not at the expense of reality. I wish to acknowledge the very real struggles that many students and their families are facing during this extraordinary time. And I wish to thank Monique, LaShawn, and Flavia for your very real work in supporting them, not only during this time, but also when they are here on our treasured campus. Remember, you may feel isolated, but you're not alone. Find your Cubby and find your way to fall in love with Andover. Go Big Blue. Thank you, everyone.